the election does not belong to INEC. It belongs to us as Nigerians. The mode of verification and accreditation now is top-notch. Even identical twins, one cannot vote for the other. What used to happen before now was that politicians had a way of collecting voters' cards, either from the registrants or finding way of colluding with criminal-minded elements within the commission. Majority of people who voted in that election did not vote for the eventual winner.
That's 1983. Nigeria recorded about 25.4 million voters. That was in 1983. And the last general elections, which was in 2023, Nigeria recorded, I think, 25.2. It was less than. And the population of Nigeria and the voting strength of Nigeria has almost tripled what we had in 1983. So it shows you that there is a disconnect somewhere. And while we're at it, the central figure of the election that is considered as the freest and fairest in the annals of elections in Nigeria, Chief MKO Abiola of the famous June 12 election, said something. He said, "You don't shave a man's head in his absence." We have with us in the studio the resident electoral commissioner, INEC, Edo State, in the person of Mr. Obo Efanga with us in the studio. Mr. Efanga, good morning. I'm mighty glad to have you with us.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
All right. We've been talking about the current phase of the voter registration exercise. And we are talking about, want to find out how it has been, what the turnout has been, what the prospects are. I mean, the figures. Is it looking up? You heard me, I just juxtaposed now between turnout in 1983 and turnout in 2023, and unfortunately, we've recorded lesser figure in 2023. So let us take it from there, Mr. Fanga.
Okay, so there are two questions you've posed, more or less. You've talked about the turnout, and you're also asking about the prospects, the registration.
Yes.
Let me start with the registration, but I really would like to talk about the turnout thing, the percentage, because there are a lot of misunderstanding of that issue. Now, talking about the registration, as you know, ahead of the 2027 election, we had commenced the continuous voter registration, where we give up opportunity for people who are qualified to register to do so. We started last year in August. Between August and December, we had the first phase. Then between January and April, we had the second phase. This third and final phase started in May, and it will end on July 10th, which is a few weeks away. In Edo State, before now, the voter registration figures for Edo State is about 2.6 million. As of the last election conducted here, which was the off-cycle governorship election. And between August last year and April this year, the two phases that we've had, new voter registration, we recorded about 92,000 new voter registration. But this is still subject to a second phase of verification to ensure that these persons had not previously registered. And when that is done, they will be added to the voters register. Now, for this third and final phase, for the past 5 weeks, we've recorded more than 20,000, and we're still getting more people registered. You see, as you continue registering, that means the number of people, potential registrants, is also dropping. So you understand. But in terms of people turning up in our premises, what we do is that here in INEC Edo State is that every day, at the end of the day, we share the figures of how many people have registered, fresh registrants in the state for that day across the state. We show local government by local government, and we also show male and female figures. For yesterday, we had 1,199 new registrants across the state. That does not include people who come to do transfers and people who come to say, I want to make corrections to my information, or people who come to say, I've not collected my voter's card, or I lost my voter's card, and I want a new one.
You just mentioned something very important now, because when you talk about continuous voter registration exercise, there is a tendency to misconstrue it with it's just an opportunity for new registrants to come and register. But I know that in this phase, what you do is more than that. You just mentioned people who are transferring and all that. I want you to throw more light on this. That what exactly? Give us the scope of when we have a CVR.
Okay, so first, someone who is qualified to register and has not registered before, this is an opportunity. Then anybody who is already registered and needs to change anything about the information. Sometimes people have changed their names, especially women who have married and changed their names and they want the new names reflected there. Or sometimes there may have been an error about the registration, misspelling of names, wrong date of birth, sometimes even mix-up of gender. And then, more importantly, there are people who are registered and they have moved from where they lived and they now want to vote in a different place. This is also an opportunity for them to do that. That's what we call the transfer. So those are basically the things. And then some people come and say, oh, their card is defaced, their card is broken, their card has been lost, or they never collected their cards, but they still want to vote in the place they originally were registered to vote. So all they need is a new card. We take care of those people too.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if we may talk about the
next leg of the question, right?
Yes, good. Now, you talked about the fact that I think you talked about 1983.
83.
Okay, you started with 1983.
I just opposed it with the
the percentage turnout at an election. Let me say something that a lot of people seem to miss out.
Okay, sir.
If you recall, before now, every time there was going to be an election, a general election, there will be fresh registration of voters. So, for instance, in 1979, before the 1979 election, there was fresh registration of voters from point zero. Everybody that wanted to vote in 79 had to come and register. In 1983...
So it was a clear register?
Yes,
fresh.
So it means that when people register close to the time, they are more likely going to be around to also vote. So that's one. Now, let us look at the current voters register we have in Nigeria. The baseline for it was 2010-2011. Okay. Late 2010 and early 2011 for people to vote in the 2011 general election.
Yes.
Every other election we've had after then, we've been building up on that register.
Just updating.
Yes. So if somebody had registered in 2010-2011, the name is on the register. So every new time we add to it. You also know that between that time and now, there are many people who have died. They are still on the register. There are many people who have migrated out of Nigeria. They are still on the register. Okay? So that means that the number you have on the register, the people who can possibly come out to vote, is already dropped by the fact that there are names of dead persons there and people who are out of the country. But more importantly is that the mode of verification and accreditation now is top-notch. Okay. If you cast your mind back, let me give you an instance of the 2015 general election. That was the election that brought in former President Muhammadu Buhari. On the day of the election, by that time, INEC had introduced what was called the smart card reader that will read your permanent voter's card to verify that it is an authentic voter's card. And then you will put your fingerprint for us to be sure that you are the owner of that identity. If you recall, that process was not top-notch, such that on the day of election, 2015, if you recall, many people complained that the smart card reader was taking too long.
I think President Goodluck Jonathan even had issues.
Yes, it took a while before he could be accredited. And then INEC said in the middle of the election, where the the smart card reader does not work very well, you can do manual accreditation and fill the incident form. So across the country, trust politicians, everybody abandoned the use of the smart card reader. Everywhere they said it was incident form. So what did we have? At the end of that election, in I think between 11 and 13 states in the country recorded voters accreditation of at least 1 million. Kano instead had 2 million. I don't know how many we had in Edo State then. Okay? Then fast forward, 8 years later, in 2023, by the time INEC had introduced the bimodal voter accreditation system device, BVAS, which anybody who has followed it would know that it is top-notch in accreditation. There is absolutely no way you could be accredited if you are not the owner of that identity. Because we'll take your fingerprint or your picture, it must match with
biometrics,
the one that was there. So because of that, if you recall, just before the 2023 election, because what used to happen before now, we must admit, we are Nigerians, we see these things. What used to happen before now was that politicians had a way of collecting voters' cards, either from the registrants or finding way of colluding with criminal-minded elements within the commission to collect the uncollected voters' card and keep them. And on election day, they will just give to whoever they want to go and vote with them. But these days, even identical twins, one cannot vote for the other because the accreditation won't go. So when we now had the election in 2023, it was only one state that recorded up to 1 million accredited voters, which was Kano. So the question would be, where did all the other millions go between 2015 and 2023?
So which means we had phantom voters.
Exactly. And we also had situations back then. I mean, we are old enough as Nigerians to remember what used to happen. In some communities, when you went, after election is conducted, let's say there are, say, 300 registered voters in a polling unit, and maybe only 80 turned up. The politicians there will say, look, let it not be said that we don't have the figures, that people don't turn out. They will say, okay, this extra, let's just share the votes among the parties themselves, based on the performed.
So all the party agents will come to that.
Exactly, they will just do that. But you can't do that again now because with the use of the BVAS, first of all, by the time voting has ended in that polling unit, the BVAS has already told you the number of people who were accredited. So you can't have more votes than that.
Than the accredited.
So that is a major factor we should note. But I also know that there may be people who have voted previously, are still available to vote, but may not come out to vote for other reasons. One of the reasons is that if citizens believe that no matter who comes in, that they've not seen positive difference in how governance has been.
So voter party.
So they'll just say, I don't care who comes in there. It would still be the same thing. It's still them, the leaders, against us. Also, if people believe that the person, sometimes for people, when they vote, if their preferred candidate did not win, they become discouraged. I won't try it again. Sometimes people may think that the outcome of the election did not reflect how the voting came. If people also have that view, they will also say, well, I'm not voting. So these are all the things that go in. But more importantly is for us to admit that the accreditation process is top-notch. So even if you have a voters register of in a polling unit of 900, it is the actual people who turn up to vote that the accreditation will show.
All right, you've been listening to Mr. Obo Evanga. He's the REC Edo State INEC, and he's been giving us this voter education, so to say, on how the CVR works, the issue of accreditation, and why you should trust the process now, because INEC keeps raising the bar and raising the standard. Now, there's always this thing, and I want you to speak to it. People will come, they will say, well, that is if INEC will allow us to have a free and fair election. And sometimes it sounds like it's an assumption or a presumption. But is it actually about INEC? Or there is a subplot that goes on and it's a battle of wits between INEC and maybe politicians who want to circumvent the process. People need to understand.
Okay, let me put it this way. I keep saying this, that the election does not belong to INEC. It belongs to us as Nigerians. So if you look at the entire gamut of the process, Nigerians are involved in it. So it starts with, if you want to start with registration, in the registration process, if you follow through, you'll see that when people come to register, like in my the state office where I sit, it's a registration center. I go, I interact with the people there who come to register. Sometimes I go to the field, the local governments and the registration centers in the wards, interact with them and be sure that the process is going on fine. There is nobody who has turned up to register who has not been registered. You may say it takes a long time, but we make sure that everybody who turns up is registered that day. Okay? So that's a smooth process. It will also come for the time they will pick up their voter's card. That will be a smooth process. On election day, you come with your voter's card, you are credited, you are given a ballot paper to vote. You vote. At the end of the voting in that polling unit, the ballots are open up. The ballot box is open up and the ballots sorted, counted, the results recorded in the result sheet.
And then in the glare of the...
Everyone is recorded there. And all the political parties in the contest have their agents at the polling unit. This is registered in the result sheet. And copies of that result are given to the agents of the political parties. So they have their own physical result. Now you use the beavers and take a snapshot of that result. And that's what you upload to the INEC Results Viewing Portal. I always ask people, and maybe I should also ask, you may say it's rhetoric, even amongst you journalists, how many of you have been to the IREF? Do you know how it works? Do you know how to sign up to the IREF? Have you ever checked it?
Yeah.
Do you see how the results appear there?
Yes.
There are photographs of the polling unit results.
Exactly.
Now, after that voting there and the results, copies have been given to the agents of the party and the security agents as represented by the police usually. The presiding officer now carries the physical results. After they've uploaded it, right, goes to the Ward Collation Center.
Yes.
At the Ward Collation Center, every party also has an agent there.
Yes.
So they have agents at every level. So the agents at the polling unit who have the physical result, just like INEC has, comes to them and shows to the agent, this is the result from the polling unit. So they have it. And then, so the collation that is done there, they are able to check that what is collated is actually what came from the polling unit. And then from there it moves to the next level, local government, state, depending on the election. If it's presidential election, it goes to the national. So if there is a discrepancy, whether by error or deliberate, in the process, in the chain, each political party has evidence to prove and also has evidence to do its own parallel tabulation. To say, so if a political party at the end of the election says, for instance, this person was declared winner and not our party, they should be able to show through the evidence they have that this is what the scores ought to be, not what INEC declared. But so far, how many instances of challenges to election results do you hear that the petitioners say this ought to be the result? Usually you don't hear that. They will go to technical issues. Should this person have been a candidate at all? You understand? So the point I'm making is that we've made the process so transparent that if we made a mistake or if we deliberately manipulated the system, it is glaring for people to...
So from your explanation now,
show.
In a nutshell, is that as against popular assumption, INEC is not a bad guy?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that you don't have bad guys in INEC.
No, that's like not the biggest problem in our elections.
Yeah, no. So now, the other things that come up, a lot of times when people complain about the election, there are things that were not directly under the control of INEC. So if people say, for instance, that their supporters were attacked or were not allowed access to the polling unit, that's not within INEC's purview. That's for the security agencies, assuming that happened. Okay? The point is, anybody who turns up to vote and is registered to vote in that polling unit and has been authenticated with the beavers will be allowed to vote. And the votes are counted. Basis of the accounted votes that the results are declared. I just think that people need to be a bit more open-minded about this process. One of the things, before I joined INEC, has been the civil society groups, and I used to observe the election. I used to comment on the election and the process. One of the things I remember that I said in 2015, ahead of the election, one of my articles I wrote, I said that politicians, political parties, should try to engage their supporters to let them know that the chances of any candidate winning in the election is 1 over the number of candidates in the election. So if there are 10 candidates in any election,
they all have equal chances.
It means that you stand 1 over 10 chance of winning. And only one person will win. So more people will lose. Okay? Now, there was something interesting that happened in the last 2023 election, presidential election, that a lot of people don't pay attention to. Before now, in most presidential elections we've had in the country, we've usually had not more than 2 strong political parties who, between the 2 of them, will garner more than 95% of the total votes, in such a way that the person that is eventually declared winner would have had more than 50% of the votes. Please take note of that. Would have had more than 50% of the votes, which means that of the people that voted, majority of people voted for the winner. Now, in 2023 general election, we had 3 major candidates and political parties who, amongst the 3 of them, still garnered that 95% of total votes.
Votes, yes.
In such a way that the person that had the most votes had just about 37% of the votes. The person that came second had about 30%, and the person that came third had about 28%. What that means in absolute terms is that majority of people who voted in that election did not vote for the eventual winner.
The winner actually said it. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
you understand?
In his speech after the election, he said, "I know most of you did not vote for me."
So now, why that was strange for a lot of people is that, what it means is that majority of the voters did not vote for the person that has been declared winner. But you see, that is because of what our rule says. The Constitution says for you to be elected president or governor, you must have, for the executive arm, you must have more votes than other candidates in the election, right? And you must have 1/4 of votes in 2/3 of the states, or of the local government, if it is governorship we are talking about. So once you have more votes than others, you are one step ahead. And then if you have that 1/4 of votes in 2/3 of the state and the FCT, that means you can be declared winner. It's unlike in some other jurisdictions where it says for you to be declared winner, you must score more than 50% of the votes. And I can give you a few examples in Sierra Leone and Liberia. That is why, if you recall, the first time George Weah
won the election,
contested the election, he lost to Selim Johnson.
Yes.
In the first round of voting, George Weah actually was ahead, but he didn't have more than 50%. So they went for runoff.
Yes.
In the runoff, they mobilized a lot of support for Selim, and she won. When eventually George Weah came back to contest and win, the first time he didn't win outright because he didn't have the more than 50%. So they went for a runoff where he now won. But that isn't the law in Nigeria. I actually thought that after the experience of 2023, that a lot of political analysts and even political parties and politicians would have observed that and start thinking of, do we change our law to make it that, so that when somebody emerges as president, as governor, we can actually say of the truth, majority of the people, more people who voted in that election supported this person. In which case, it means that if we had what we had, the scenario, we would probably have gone for a runoff election between the first 2 candidates. And you can't tell how those who supported the other candidates who didn't make it to the next round would have voted.
All right.
So people need to have this understanding that in terms of if people are going to be satisfied or dissatisfied on the basis of whether their candidate won or not, more people were dissatisfied than were satisfied.
All right, thank you very much. And we need Israel quickly, but we need to go to the phone line.
Well, I understand that, but are there issues with the portal, the CVR portal? What are the steps to registering? Do I initiate it first at my hand before going to INEC office? For those who are out there that need to know.
Okay, so if you want to register, you've never registered before. If you come to any of our registration centers, you start the process and complete it there. You don't need to have done anything before coming.
Okay.
But if you have access to the internet, you can go to the portal, which is CVR. CVR means Continuous Voter Registration. CVR.inecnigeria.org. You go there and do what we call pre-registration. Online, you fill in all the information we will ask you. We would have asked you if you came physically. You fill in all those information and choose your polling unit and then decide which registration center you want to come and complete the registration, because we have to take your biometrics, fingerprint, and your photo for it to be completed. But if you don't have access to the internet, you can just come to the registration center and you'll be registered. And apart from fresh registration, every other thing, you can do it exclusively online without coming. If you want to do a transfer, if you want to request a new card, if you want to correct your name, you can do those ones online without coming to us.
So those groups should not join those going to the INEC office?
No. If they have access,
but if they have
access to the internet,
they can sit in the comfort of their homes. Thank you very much, Mr. Efanga. We just have to go to the phone line.
0705-512-9881. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, quickly, good morning.
Thank you, people. On video, ultimate great online. Yes.
All right, quickly.
I'm happy for the continual exercise. As we enable more people, mostly those that are attend the age of 18, to register. But a lot of person do the needful. That is the problem. Many people are about that will not vote in this election. First one will transfer 2023 to the election. People are about, but I want to obey people. Come out and say, friends, come out and vote. Do your own. I leave the rest to INEC and God. So that is the problem. Not to register. Go to all this INEC officer. Millions of voters cards are there. Nobody's claiming them. If someone, I don't know if you go and register and pardon it here. Go to your TVs and use it.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ultimate. We'll have to talk to others quickly. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, the INEC president.
We are struggling to hear you, sir.
We are struggling to get.
We are currently struggling to hear you. 0902-672-2592. 0902-672-2592. Quickly, I think on the WhatsApp portal, we've got this particular message. It says, good morning, Honorable and House. Well, as to share my thoughts concerning INEC, this should be a call to action. Millions of young Nigerians are ready to get their PVCs, but I think INEC has gatekeep some of those voters register center, like there is one in Oredo local government area, and we Adolites, we need to call them to do something about that. Their poor network server and all of that.
Can it be specific? I wish he was specific. What exactly is the issue?
Is the issue? Say gatekeep or something.
He made mention of poor network in INEC server.
Yeah, even when we have poor network, we eventually attend to everyone who turns up that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Last call. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you. All right. Fire on.
I don't know. Oga INEC. Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You see, why this center, why not spread them around? This place is congested. That place, when they use it, is congested. I see they done before. Why not spread the whole center around? At least the whole government and ward.
Where exactly did you go that is congested?
Registration. So sometimes when you go to your INEC office there, you see the place is sometimes it's so crowded.
No, sir.
And that is what we want to do.
Can we be specific?
Can you be specific now? Can you be specific
about the location?
Mr. Henry, which of the location is congested? It's gone.
You see, I need to say this. The registration is done at the local government levels. They are also doing it. There are 18 local government areas in Edo State, and INEC has offices in each of the 18 local government areas. When we started This very phase, we're actually doing it at the ward levels. We are going from ward to ward. So each local government, first of all, publish its list of where the registration were going to be each day till the end. And what we also do is that at the beginning of each week, we also publish a summary of all the locations we are in Edo State. You can see an example here. This is for June 22nd to 26th. So each local government area indicates where they will be, usually 2 places, 2 different wards. So we have it, we share it, it's on our social media platforms. It's quite a lengthy list. And in those various local governments, they also inform them. And assuming they are going to a particular community, they would have told them the weekend before that they will be coming here. So we are in different places. Apart from the local government areas, we also register in the state office. So when he says congested, I don't know where he went to and what amounts to congested. Of course, so I can tell you, for instance, let me show you the figures of how many people registered yesterday. I told you we registered a total of 1,199 across Edo State, fresh registrants yesterday, and we have the breakdown here. So in the state office here, we registered 104 persons, 52 male, 52 female. That's fresh registration. That's outside people who came for transfers, or who came for other incidents. I'm not adding those figures.
All right.
So somebody may go somewhere and see. Of course, if there are a large number of people will line up. And somebody just say, look at the number of people here. INEC is not doing anything. But you've not gone inside the hall to see how many people are there and are being attended to.
Right.
And like I said, it's supposed to start from 9 to 3 o'clock. But at 3 o'clock, whoever is already there will be attended to. So sometimes my staff stay until 5 p.m. to finish attending to all the people who were there up to 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and that's our show for this morning, man. Thanks to you all. Apollo Shanagas, my name. I've been this with the Honorable Wenga James and the Head of News and Current Affairs, Israel Adebi. Many thanks to our guests for joining us this lovely morning. I appreciate you, and hopefully we'll do this some other time. Apollo Shanagas, my name. The rest of breakfast show continues shortly.